The nature of your nature. Come home to You Know More with Dr. Valerie Simonsen on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, broadcasting from Akaku Maui Community Media Center in downtown Kahului. Aloha. Welcome to the nature of your nature. It's time to come home to that innate wisdom that you carry within. Each one of you have that. So it's just time to return to that. So today we're going to be talking about some trending topics that are going on. But first of all, I just want to honor it's a full moon. So if any of you are feeling a little bit tugged, that's that full moon energy. And you know, the term lunatic came from the full moon. The moon is on one side of the earth, sun is on the other, and there's these energies that are pulling on the earth, on our bodies, and it can make us feel a little crazy sometimes maybe, or irritated, frustrated, whatever it is, but just know this too will pass. So I'm going to be talking about decolonization of thyself. And what does that mean? Basically, what it means is pruning away those things that are not innate within you. And the perfect time to prune, we prune trees on a full moon. And the reason we do that is because it will help stimulate growth in the tree. So today we're going to just kind of play with the whole concept of pruning thyself, taking whoever they are, taking them out, and restoring you, that innate wisdom inside. Well, how do we do that? Well, first we get to acknowledge it. We get to acknowledge that most of the things that you're probably thinking about today aren't even yours. I was with someone the other day, and they were talking about XYZ, and I knew exactly what website they were looking at because I've had so many people tell me the same thing. They're really concerned about XYZ. Well, maybe it's time to unplug from all of those things. And Tony, our technical expert in the room here, he and I were just talking about all these new things are being invented, like walking in silence or forest bathing. There's actually businesses now that are set up to get us back into nature and to unplug, get away from our cell phones, get away from, well, if you get away from the radio, then you're not going to hear me, but you'll hear yourself. You'll hear yourself in nature. You hear yourself in nature, you will also heal yourself in nature. So let's go into decolonization. What does that mean? It means that you were born upon this planet relatively pure. Now, you did get some influences from your mother or your father, the environment, but when you were born, there was this innate knowingness. If you've ever been with a child when they were born, they're so amazing. You look into their eyes and they're just so wise. And some scientists think that babies don't see you. Well, maybe they don't see you, but they see everything else. And they know everything else. But then this thing called colonization starts to happen where, okay, child, you need to think this way in order to fit into the norm. For an example, I just found my old, report card from first grade. And it was really well done with pictures of Snoopy and Charlie Brown and big sunflower on there. But you got a U for unsatisfactory, S for satisfactory, S plus for more than satisfactory, and an E for excellence. In first grade, back then they didn't have kindergarten, but in first grade, I was being told and monitored and punished if I didn't fall within the norm. So as I was looking at all of the things that we were being taught, I had a lot of S's, a few S pluses, but no E's and no U's, no unsatisfactory. But I remember thinking, why do I have to believe, or why do I have to think like they're thinking? This is just a book that is written, and I'm supposed to say, this is me? This is how I think? I was only a first grader. I don't know how old that is, but kids are so innately wise if we would just allow them to be that. So what we get to do is decolonize ourselves by rooting back into that innate wisdom inside. And how we do that is connecting with the land, connecting with the body, and connecting with the ancestral memory that's in our body. We talk about the memory is in the mind. It's also in the body. Most of your memories are in your body, and they're passed on through the body. And the other day I was with these two dentists from another place in the world, and they were wondering, now how do we make things better on the planet? Because things are a little bit challenging. You're going to get frustrated with all these changes that are being made and all of that. And with my last couple months of research and working with clients and all of that, it really is to get back to the land and get back to the ceremonies. If we want to heal the land, we go back into the ceremonies. So last night, I was gone for a few weeks, and I got back to my place, and it was so dry. Maui's so dry. And I went, wow, what do we need? We need rain. Well, we need rain. I went, okay, well, let me do a rain dance. So in my mind, I just started thinking about the rain dance, the ancient rain dances of like the Lakota or some of those tribes. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, the rain came. Now, did it come because of my ceremony I was doing? Or is it just nature? I don't know. But I do know that the land where you live, will respond accordingly to where your mind is. And we can heal the land by first healing ourselves. Everything that we do to ourselves, we do to the land. So smoking cigarettes is going to affect the lands. Eating sugar is going to affect the lands. And we know, and you've maybe done it for yourself, nutrition is such a huge part of this physical body. Yep, so is thoughts. I love the work of Bruce Lipton, and he talks about the biology of belief. What you think is what you'll become. So when I was in medical school, there was someone that said every day, when we'd say, how you doing today? Oh, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. Every day. One day, a truck lost control and hit that person, and they were severely injured. The words that we say, the thoughts that we have are so powerful. So we do have the opportunity to take those out and then just come back into the natural rhythm of the land, of Mother Earth, which will put our body into the rhythm of harmony, peace, and what the outcome of all of that is what I call self-sovereignty. And that is the root of resiliency. When we got it right here in our bodies, and our mind is akamai, which means it's good, and it's aligned with the divine or whatever it is that you believe in, there's amazing things happen, especially in medicine. Well, I've personally, as a physician, has seen tumors disappear in front of my eyes. I've also seen tumors appear right in front of my eyes, depending on what are people thinking. There are other factors that cause tumors, definitely environmental issues, but our mind is so powerful, and our body listens to that. So when we think about self-sovereignty, decolonize the self, we think of healing in itself is tending the body, the mind, and spirit. It's to return to one's own soil, where your personal alignment becomes the ground from which resiliency grows. Which basically means turn off the cell phone, quit looking at social media, quit watching television shows that are based in violence, and come back to your breath, come back to your family, come back to your body, and claim the presence of wholeness. Our society is so based on illness, but all we have to do is change one letter in illness and replace it with we, and we get wellness, which is what we get to do now, especially after COVID. COVID separated us. We weren't able to get together anymore. And we saw a surge of a lot of different problems happen. Dr. Patch Adams, he's a great physician. He said the number one disease on the planet is loneliness, secondary to separation. So is it separation from our bodies, our mind, our spirit? Separation from others? Well, it isn't a thing, it's the thing. It's all of these things. So what we get to do is return to that inner, reclaim that inner knowing, that presence of wholeness. Now, what would happen to the healthcare system if people were really, really in charge of their lives? Well, there's enough out there, and there's enough theories about it. For yourself, I encourage you to just practice that by looking at, what am I eating? What am I thinking? What am I doing? When was the last time I went for a walk? Like Tony was saying earlier, we used to call that, we just go for a walk. We didn't have our phone. We didn't have our iPad. We just went for a walk and connected with nature. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to a story I've shared before about You Know More, where that came from. And that came from being in Bali, where a woman was paralyzed. I was working with her, paralyzed 10 years from a massive stroke. And she couldn't talk, walk, she couldn't even swallow. And I had her husband just kind of straighten out her body by putting his arms under her armpits and kind of straighten out her body. And I looked into her eyes and I could see a spark. And I gave her a homeopathic for a head injury, which a stroke is a head injury. And then I started seeing her every day with these different therapies, natural therapies. And one day when I was walking away from her, she spoke the first time in 10 years. She said, man, oh man, oh man. Her family cried, I cried, everybody was celebrating her. She could talk. And it was only a few more weeks that woman was able to walk. She was talking, she was able to feed herself. Her digestion worked really well. And we had the going away party there at Bumi Sahat in Bali at Ubud with Robin Lim. And she was there. Amazing. Like, we would call that a miracle, but it's really not a miracle. It's what's supposed to be. But as I was leaving the country, one of the practitioners asked me, well, what did you do? What did you do that was different than maybe what we were doing? And what I think it was I really believed in her. I believed in her. I knew she had innate wisdom, and everybody else was still believing the diagnosis, but I believed in her. And the next country I went into, there was a voice that spoke. Anybody out there get voices that speak to you? This voice said, you know more. And I realized she knew more than I did about her body. The only thing she needed was somebody to believe in her. And I did believe in her. And that you know more became my mantra. my mission on the planet, started a movement called You Know More, You Know More, You Know More. When I was asked by a professional tradesperson or trademark person, they said, well, what does that mean? And I said, you know more. Just like Nike says, just do it. It's that simple. You know more. And it's always important when you're going to a doctor's appointment or going to the hospital, always have an advocate with you so that they can speak for you if you're not feeling well enough to do that. But I just had a woman getting ready for a wedding. She said, I had no idea that this preparation would take so much of me being able to speak up. And that's exactly what she was doing, was going through her rites of passage of being able to speak up and to speak her truth and get her needs met, what she did. So as you think about what your needs are, now needs are different than wants. A want is something that, well, I could live without it, but I really do want it. Like I want a red Forerunner rather than the white one. That's a want. But what is a need? A need is something like house, a home, shelter, safety, food, water. These are needs. And so when you think about in your life, what is it that you need? So just take a pause there for just a moment. And as you think about what your needs are, it's come home to your body. Your body. I was on a plane recently and my ankles got really congested from sitting for 5 hours. And when I got off the plane, I went, okay, body, what do you need? It needed to move. It just needed to move. So I just walked and walked and walked and walked. And my ankles became just fine. And the next thing we talk about with what is your need is to really understand that your body is the place where you live. And your body lives on this planet, but this place we call Mother Earth, but this is where you live. And some would say that your soul lives in your body, but I think the body lives in the soul. So if we can return to our soul, oh my gosh, and use your breath, just get back in your breath. Mindfulness, slow down, slow down. There are things in life that it's an emergency. There is no doubt about that. But most things aren't an emergency. So you can take that pause. And the other thing is rest. Rest. When we have the change of day and night, the trees, they don't lay down, but there is an energy shift where things slow down. And that's what we get to do. Which, speaking of nighttime, don't have your iPad, don't have a television in your bedroom for sure, because the energies coming through that television are going to affect your night, your ability to sleep, and it'll definitely affect your dreams. And it also affects your hormones, especially females where they have the cycle, the menses. When they start having problems with the menses, we black out their room. We get rid of all the electrical in the room, and then we put covers over the outlet boxes so that they're not being affected by the electrical magnetic frequencies. And a few months of that, and I've seen women, especially young women, their cycles come back into normalcy. Well, it's nice to have some normalcy, isn't it? So when we think about our bodies are made of the same stuff that, the earth is made of. And when I'm thinking about this, you know, our bodies are miraculous. And during COVID, a lot of us got in touch with our bodies in a much stronger sense. And that's actually when More was started as a nonprofit. And More, the nonprofit, is sponsoring our television or our radio show today. And they are dedicated to healthcare providers, first responders, educators, and community leaders, offering restorative care to their body, their mind, their spirit. I want to just put a little plug in and a big thank you for More, which I started after 5 of my peers took their lives during COVID. I want to thank our team, Jessica Brazil, Maria Gold, for being here, and all of our other experts that come in to offer care for our people. So I want to just talk a little bit about the fires, because no matter where you go, there's always somebody that's still dealing a little bit with the fires from Maui. But when I was in Yellowstone, or in Montana in the 80s, and Yellowstone burned, the plants that grew after the fires were ancient plants. I saw that the same thing in the west side and upcountry, but more on the west side was, and that's Maui, that after the fires, there was some seeds that were cracked open, and there was a birth of something ancient within that was calling out. Now, that's uncomfortable when there's something new, and yet you know it's right, and we are taught that there's something wrong with us. And as we return and have more comfort with what has happened over the last couple years on Maui and everywhere, LA, there isn't a country in the world that isn't being affected by fires. And I'm not going to go any more into why the fires are here, or why the waters are rising, or why there's droughts, or any of that. I want to keep it really in the basics, essences of your body, that place where you live. I'm going to start off with the doctrine of signatures. And I think I've talked about this before, that the food we eat can and usually does look like the part of the body that it's going to help. So someone just shared that they had kidney disease, and the kidney bean looks just like the kidneys. And kidney beans help heal the kidneys. Walnuts look just like the brain. And when you eat walnuts, unless you're allergic to walnuts, don't eat them if you're allergic to walnuts, they help your brain. And carrots. You ever seen a rabbit that wears glasses? No, they don't, because they're eating carrots. Well, there's something to that. It's not just Bugs Bunny telling you that. The chemicals, the properties in that carrot, the keratin, help the eyes be healthy. So when we think about what you're eating, if you're eating white sugar that has been highly processed and probably pesticided and herbicided from the different plants that it comes from, that's how your brain is going to work. You are what you eat. You are what you eat. And how you eat. If we eat with a group and eat, let's say, 3 pieces of pizza in a group versus having 3 pieces of pizza with a group in your family or friends, the body is going to respond differently to that. So it's really important, if it's possible, to eat with other people and slow down, chew your food. My mentor, Jeannie Hafford, said, you drink your food and chew your water, which means slow down and allow the body to absorb these things. Well, one of the biggest things I want to focus on today, though, is the sacred systems of the body and how they look like the landscape of the earth. I'm going to start off with the respiratory system, the lungs. What's the first thing you think of? trees. If you turn a tree upside down, it looks just like the lungs. And the trees are the lungs for the earth. They breathe. Trees breathe. And so as we make that bridge between the trees, if you're having a bad day, having a tough time, just go up and lean against a tree. Go touch a tree. And your breath will start to normalize. Is that really true? Yes, it is. I had a secretary that when she'd get really stressed out, that's where I'd find her. Right there leaning against a tree, breathing. And the other thing that I love about the trees, that's where the birds are. Or they like to hang out there. And in the Lakota tradition, you know, the eagle, they're the ones that take the prayers to the divine and to the higher beings, or whatever you want to call that. And that's what we do when we lean up into a tree or sit in a tree or just sit underneath a tree, is we get connected again. So next I'm going to go into the circulatory system, and that's your blood, and it goes through your body just like rivers. And if we think about the volcanoes, the magma, the lava, that's what's happening in our body as well. And if there is an issue with the blood being dirty, what we'll see are pustules on our face or on our body. I know for myself, I went through this, but after the fires, being exposed to a lot of arsenic, mercury, all of these other things, my skin was covered with pustules as the blood was pushing that out of the body. As we heal from the inside out, we heal with the most important, most valuable. I don't know if there's anything true, what's more valuable, but we heal the inside first, and then it heals the outside. And the skin is the teacher. I saw a little girl today with a rash on her face. And I went, wow, how long you had that? I got some new toothpaste. And I'm like, okay, what else is going on in this little girl's life? There's a lot going on. And it's a staph infection. And where is the staph coming from? The outside? Well, probably there's something underlying underneath things too. And she'll get the right kind of care for sure. But I'm going to go to our major organ, which is your digestive system. It starts in your mouth, goes down, and then you know, the poop is the large intestine. That's where things end for the digestive system. So the digestive system is so important. Chew your food. And if you don't have the teeth to do that, blend your food. And what will happen is if you blend your food, then you're going to be able to absorb it and assimilate it much faster, much more effectively. And then let's pop into the nervous system really quick and think about just listening. Let's say you're listening to someone on a podcast or whatever, and they're really irritating. What's going to happen to your nervous system? You're just going to start wanking out. So what we can do is just breathe. Going back to a respiratory, lean up against a tree, and the nervous system will calm down. And I'm going to just briefly talk about stem cells. You probably heard a lot about stem cells. But stem cells are so amazing how even if there's been damage to the body, how they can revitalize and new growth can happen. And we can get that by just being in nature, being in the sunlight. And the sunlight also will help your immune system, your endocrine system, all of these different systems that are in your body by being in the light. Put on, take off your sunglasses. Let that sun come in. It isn't that you want to look at the sun, but let the natural light come into your body. There's acupuncture points in the back of your eyes. We need sunshine. We need sunlight. Not too much, right? Because we know what that's like. But let yourself be a little more naked out there. But don't overdo it, right? And this is one of my favorites, the immune system. I guarantee you there isn't a shot out there that's going to make your immune system stronger. How we get the immune system stronger is to be in nature and to be just like be like the water. Be like the water. And the water, the ocean has the coral that's all along. That's what our immune system is like. So our immune system is activated by light, absolutely 100% dependent on rest. Good food, and good food, when I say that, I eat a rainbow. Eat a rainbow every day. Eat green, yellow, orange, purple, all the different colors of the rainbow. And then we go into the urinary system, which is, your bladder and your kidneys. And that's the purifier, or it's one of the purifiers. Everything in your body is a purifier and a builder. But let things go. If something's pissing you off, you need to let it go or do something about it. And there's so many things that are happening in the world. You can't do anything about it. So let it go. But if there is something you can do, then do that. And connect with other people that are doing it. I'm going back to the wellness compared to illness. We don't do things alone anymore. We will have a lot better success if we work together. Yeah? And then going into the reproductive system. And remember your placenta. The placenta looks just like a tree. There's the veins in there that looks just like the tree. And that is the root of so much of our nutrition as babies that feed us or maybe deplete us. So when we think about reproductive system, I want you to just think about all the ideas that you have. What are you giving birth to? Maybe not a child, but an idea? What is it that you've been thinking about? You have an idea to start a new business or write a book or make a movie or maybe just go for a walk? That's your reproductive system. As you are actively involved with your body by producing something reproductive, then we optimize our health. What a simple thing, right? And I think about the muscles in your body. They look like the mountains, right? And your skin looks like the bark on a tree. And the skin is a protector. It's also a very, very good teller, or it tells us what's going on underneath. If I see someone with what we call psoriasis, I know there's an underlying problem with the intestines, with the digestion. So we can't fix the skin. We can't put anything on topically that is going to fix it, maybe make it look like it's better, but it's still underneath. So you got to go to the root of your body, and figure out where the disharmony is. Is it something that you're eating? I was working with someone recently, and they did had major surgery, and they had very, very loose stools after they started eating. And what they were eating was yogurt because they thought it was very easy to digest. And it can be. But when I went a little bit further with them, they were doing yogurt a lot. They weren't doing vegetables. They were hardly getting in any other kind of protein. So what I suggested they do is to make a soup and blend it up and do it for 10 days and just see what happens. Have a different kind of soup every day, maybe 2 different kinds a day. Vegetables and the protein source, whether it's a legume or beans or something like that, or if you eat animal product, then you blend it up. And that gives the digestion a rest, and it also allows for integration of the essential nutrients in the body so that they can go into the rest of your body to support you. Sounds pretty simple. Maybe not always that easy, but if there's a problem, we always go back and we fix the digestion, which we call the gut. Going back to that person that had the surgery, she did that. came fine. And then went on a trip, and on the plane ate yogurt. And then had the loose stools, really loose stools. And when she got back from her trip, she went back on just eating a pure diet of vegetables and her protein, and she's doing great. So the body responds so quickly. It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, just right now, just think your body. Just think your body. Oh my God, you've done so much, and you've been through so much, body. And thank you for being here. And let's bring that over to the earth. This earth has been here for you, and she is here to help you. So lean into the tree and be the water. Be the waters that cleanse. Play in the water. And when we think about science, not religion, science, the primordial oceans, the chlorella, originally blue green algae came from the ocean, and that's what brought life to the legged beings. So as we return to the water, what we're really returning to is the flow. We return to the flow. And if you've ever been around fish, there's only a few fish that swim upstream, and they do that to lay an egg, such as the salmon, and then they die. But if we learn to do what I learned from the Navajo a long time, let go of the banks and go with the way of the water. And the Tao of water teaches us water always finds a way. Water always finds a way. And it never goes uphill. It always finds a way. So when we lay low, that was my theme during COVID. Just lay low. Just lay low. And when we lay low, what that brings us to is that space where we can really remember why we're here, not our degree, but why we're here. Not our education, not our job, but why we're here. And we're here as human beings to serve others, to help others. I met someone the other day, and they were on their way to Mexico, and I said, so what's your passion? And she said, kindness. I went, wow, kindness. Helping others. She said, all I'm here to do is to help others and to be kind in that. So when we get caught up in all of these things, especially political right now, and that's global, just remember to try and come back to kindness and say what you mean, but don't say it in a mean way. And understand everybody on this planet right now is like a kindergarten on the first day of school. We all have some fear. We all have some fear. But we don't need to judge, which that's really hard not to do. But we can acknowledge that there's some needs that aren't being met by a lot of people. Is there some way that we can help that? That's what our nonprofit is here. We're here to help the people that are the essential workers. We're working with the first responders, healthcare providers, the educators, and the community leaders. And the other day I was in a meeting with a healthcare provider, and I said, it's an underserved population. And they agreed. And we go to a doctor and we think the doctor has all their poop in a group. Well, they have a life too. And they have stressors. They have loss in family. They have dealing with their bosses and all of that. So I'm really proud that we're able to serve these people, these healthcare providers, first responders, and things like that, so that they can return to that place of self-sovereignty and be that root of resilience. And if you really, really want to make the change, is you be that self that is free from the contamination of colonialization. I have a friend that speaks her own language. And the first time I heard that, I went, whoa, that is so amazing. She understands it. I didn't understand it, but I didn't need to. And is it an ancient language? I remember when I was a kid, I used to speak, when I'd be up in a tree, I'd be speaking this language. I didn't know what it was, or I just speak it. But until I was punished for speaking this other language. So I want you right now to, I'm going to say, I'm going to just give you permission. Not that you need it, but maybe you need to hear it. The permission to be yourself. Permission to be yourself. And I really encourage you to embrace the right to be yourself. And you don't have to follow a party. You don't have to follow a belief system that has been handed down through colonialization. You have a choice in your life. And the best way to find those choices, or to hear those choices, or see those choices, is to get in nature. Come back to nature. Your nature. And then be around people that support you in that. I do not go into certain populations and talk about what I do because it's not supported. It's dangerous, actually. Some people get really upset when I talk about there's a natural treatment for, let's say, cancer or something like that. But as we remember, we have choices. You have choices. Just because that person is in your school or in your town, that doesn't mean you need to hang out with them. But there are people that you can hang out with that understand you. I was in a meeting this morning, and I was trying to explain to this potential client what it is I do, because they wanted to know that. And finally, I thought about what I really like doing is serving people that I don't have to explain what I'm saying. They just understand. And there's a lot of people that don't understand what I'm saying. And that's okay. I don't need to change them. I don't need to educate them. I don't need to do anything other than respect them. Respect them for where they are, and then notice what's happening in my body, your body right now. Just drop in and think about a situation maybe where someone came into the room and you just got the weebie-jeebies in your belly. You know, the belly has, we call it the first brain. You have that gut feeling about something. Trust that. Trust your gut. It will never lead you astray. And if you're not really aware of maybe what your belly's doing, look at if you're around animals. The other day I was walking with some children, and we had 2 dogs and a cat, and there was a man came up on a bicycle, and we're talking, the kids and I were talking to the man, and I watched this cat go into full response, you know, kind of thing. And I went, that cat knows something I need to know. And so I just gently moved the children on, and we just blessed the guy, and he went his way, we went our way. But if you have that, watch the surroundings, watch the animals. A dog will not approach someone that's mean. They just don't. They will attack if someone's being mean to them, but they will avoid them because it's not safe. And right now we get to really think about what is going to make ourselves safe. And that someone asked me, what's the best book to read? I go back to the book you write. Write your story. It doesn't have to be published, but write your story. Call it journaling. Just write, spontaneously write. And if you have the chance, do it in nature. This morning, all of my clients that I took care of, they're all in other countries, I was sitting out in my yard in a chair, the breeze, the birds, the sun. I guarantee you, my performance was 100% better than when I'm in an office space. So think about that for yourself. Where is it that you're most comfortable? Where is it that you're most comfortable? And then invite those people that you need to have a conversation to be in that space. And whether, it's walking on the beach or even golfing, which I don't appreciate what the golf courses are doing to the world, but there is movement. And most importantly is that awareness of what your body is doing. I just talked to someone earlier and I said, are you aware, are you in your body? And they said, sometimes. We call that dissociation. And we actually say that in a, quote, negative tone. But dissociation is it's a response to create safety. But right now, in these times, it's important as much as possible, work with your nervous system. I love the things, they call it somatic healing, somatic work, where it's of the cells. Like Lisa Carey's on one of our shows, you can watch that. She talks about how the body, we heal trauma through movement, breath, things like that. Jessica Brazil was talking about mindful living, and you can look at that on our YouTube as well. And then Harriet Witt has spent a lot of time with us talking about we are nature. We are made of the same things that the earth is and the stars. And this relationship that we have with the stars and the moon and the sun will determine our wellness. If we're in a room all day long without any sunlight, I guarantee you the body is going to have some issues. And if we're being exposed to computers, like right now, I'm surrounded by electronics. For sure tonight, I'll take a bath with some Epsom salts or some bath salts, and if I jump in the ocean, to help neutralize those things, right? We can't always control everything. Well, I think we can, but do we? I know people, that, especially out in Hana, they live 100% off the grid. They don't have a phone. They work in the gardens. They grow food. Yeah. The difference between them and me is that they're doing it. I think about it, but they're actually doing it. And while I'm talking about food, with the last tsunami that we had, thank gosh, it was not serious, even though most of us evacuated, or a lot of us evacuated to higher ground. Did you have food at home? If you would have went home that day? Did you have enough food? When I was going up the mountain, I stopped at a stop sign and I realized I don't have enough food even for the day. I was getting food that night because I quit growing my food during the fires. And there was pesticides being placed on the ground and things like that. So it wouldn't have been good food even if I did start to grow a garden. I think it's really important that we do start our gardens. Regenerative farming. Get back to the earth. Get the foods. Teach the children. Schools are doing that. If you look at wherever you are right now, there's probably a number of schools that they have gardens right there, and the children are learning to garden. They're making that connection with the food. So when they eat the food is going to act differently than if we didn't eat, that we didn't have that our hands in the dirt. And there's microorganisms that stimulate the digestion that only come from food that comes directly out of the earth, rather than going through the system of being shipped somewhere and sprayed with different kinds of chemicals to make sure that they stay on the shelf longer, right? So life can be really simple if we go back to what we eat, how we eat, what we think, how we think. And then remember, you always have a choice. You always have a choice. I offered someone some star fruit today, and they said, no, I don't eat those. And I went, wow, that is so cool. They're so aware of their body that this doesn't work for them. I eat a star fruit. It's like heaven to me. Really high in vitamin C and electrolytes, all of that. My body just soaks that up. But they were totally aware that it didn't work for them. So the next time you go to a store and you're going through the looking at the vegetables or whatever, just stop for a moment and ask your body, is this what we really need? Your body will never lie. It will never lie. The first voice will always give you the truth. But then the mind's going to go in there, but yeah, I really, really like popcorn, and popcorn makes me feel really good. But the first hit, whatever that food is, for me, I'm going to stick with popcorn right now because I love popcorn, but popcorn does not love me. I'll know not to eat it, but then the mind starts picking up and it's like, well, maybe just a little bit. Well, there is no little bit when it comes to a food that doesn't work for your body, because what's happening in your body is it's mounting an immune response. So it actually gets a little bit high. When I eat popcorn, I'm just speeding. I'm going good. That's because all the adrenaline is going on in my body to mount immune response, send out the neutrophils, send out the macrophages, send out all the things in the body, in your white blood cells, to fight whatever I've just taken into my body, such as popcorn. So it's best if I stay away from that. Is there this thing called moderation? Yeah, there is. But am I really good at it? Honestly, I'm not. I'm not. And maybe you are. And if you are, congratulations. Yeah, really, congratulations. But most of us, well, I shouldn't even say that. I can only speak for myself. I know that it's better for me not to have popcorn in the house, because I can give in, especially if I'm getting upset about something. It's very easy for me to just go, you know what, I'll just have a little bit. And then the next day, I'm pretty crappy, and my face is swollen, my eyes are swollen shut, I got a bellyache, I've got diarrhea. Yep, doesn't work so good. But again, I'm going to go back to, it's your body, the place you live. It's your body. And you have choices of what you put into your body, what you think. Go back to Bruce Lipton, the biology of belief. What you think, your body will do. If what you believe, your body will do. So make sure what you're thinking and believing is what you really want, rather than what you don't want. And then come home to the nature of your nature. which is the decolonization of all of they, them. Take them out. Take them out. All those systems, you didn't have a choice when you were 7, but you have a choice now. You have a choice now. You don't have to listen to that radio show. You don't have to turn on and listen to the news. You don't have to. That's easier said than done. But the root of resiliency is self-sovereignty, which means this is my body. This is where I live, and I'm going to make wise choices. So thank you for being with me today. The nature of your nature. You know more. You do. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week. Oh, hooey ho. I believe in you. Aloha, this is Dr. Valerie Simonsen, host of The Nature of Your Nature. Come home to You Know More. The show is about returning to your innate wisdom. The show airs live on Mondays at 3 p.m. and replayed on Saturday at 2 p.m. Only on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui.